So now when it comes to rein cues, I teach them everything I want them to understand under saddle on the ground first. I don't get on them and then ask them to figure it out. This might be a little big on here, but that's okay. Just shows how much bigger Farrah's head is than yours. Okay. So, he has no education. He knows how to do silly tricks like, you know, half passing and backing up to you if you ask him to back up to you. Wait, 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 come in, let me show you. Here. Teddy. Teddy, here. Teddy. Teddy. He does know if I have to help him, I'm going to help him by putting my hand on his pole, but I'm going to teach him by, I'm going to teach him by pulling his head up. So he'll push against the pressure, and then I'll tell him that he got the right answer. So when I'm on him, all I have to do is raise my rein. So I'm going to ask him to put his head down. So I'm actually putting quite a bit of pressure. My goal, if he responds that well, each and every time, my goal will be to put his nose on the ground. That's not really, that was lucky. So if he does it, obviously, 3 times in a row, maybe I'm not lucky. All right? Okay, well, that was easy. So the first thing I do when I teach the yields with the rein cues is I make sure that I can bend the horse around to his elbow and him not move his feet. So this is the first time I'm asking Teddy to do that, and what he's doing is very usual. So what you do is you try not to get out of the saddle position with your own body. You just stay in the saddle position and you ask him until he stops moving. You just ask him to come around. As soon as he stops moving, you release. So there, he stopped moving, I released. I'm going to look for him to do that 3 times without moving his feet. There's 2, although the first one I might not count. I might want to do 2 more. I always want them to put their head back straight so I can bring their head around from the straight position so I know that they're actually understanding the lateral flexion. This is what I want to teach them as the beginning of their emergency stop. I want to be able to make them believe that when I bring their rein all the way around without giving him any other kind of direction, that I want him to stop moving his feet. So here I'm introducing the direct rein, which is moving the front feet. So you might be able to hear my audio. I'm going to see if it's good enough audio to save. But I'm going to yield him around his elbow, which means don't move your feet, and I'm going to pull my hand directly off his body, and I'm going to ask him to move his front feet. I'm looking for either a strong straddle step or a crossover step. It's the turning yield. If you were on his back, you're asking him to turn his front end. I don't want his hind legs to get involved, but I'm not going to be super critical yet. I'm just trying to get a message. Then, if I get successful 3 times in a row, I will switch sides.
Now run this side. Okay. Ready? One more. You're doing so good. You are such a good boy. All right. Good. Okay. I'm not going to confuse them and do the same thing on that side and change it up on them. I'm going to come over this side and make it all new. I'm teaching him by flinging the rope around. Everything means something. So now I'm deconditioning or I'm desensitizing him to things like that being done on him. So now I'm going to do the flex of the head, which is its own thing still. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to raise the rein as if I was pulling the rein to my belt buckle. And that is to disengage his hind end. So now I'm only going to want the back feet to do something when I'm done. So, got to get this message first. Means don't move your feet. You also want to always stay in the saddle position because obviously this is where the communication has to come from. Good job. So now disengagement, bringing it up basically to his withers, and I want his hind end to disengage. So I'm just going to wait on him. If he does not go, I might give him a tap where my foot would be. Good job. And then release him.
So the absolute most important part here is releasing when the horse responds appropriately to the pressure. It's the release that teaches. So it's your timing that's going to matter as well. You're going to have to make sure that as soon as he does exactly what you've asked for, you take all the pressure off, give them their head back or whatever part of them that you're kind of twisting up in a puzzle, and you make sure that they feel released from the pressure, and that's what will teach them that they found the right answer.
Okay, so just the head. Good job. I'd like a little bit more. Not pull away. I'd like a little bit more. Good job. A little bit more. Good job. Now I'm ready. So I'm going to ask you behind in. Good job.
Okay, so the first thing I need him to do is allow me to bring his head all the way around to his elbow without his feet moving. If his feet start to move, I'm going to try to stay in the saddle position and move with him. Okay, so I'm going to try to get him to bring his head around to his elbow, so that's all I'm waiting on right now. Waiting on. So the pressure hasn't changed. I'm not going to suddenly start tugging on him. As soon as he brings his head around to his elbow, then I'm going to go ahead and move my arm up to the wither. I'm going to wait on him to cross over his hind feet, and then watch the rope will go completely slack. That's the release.
Good man. So now we're going to disengage. Good job. Lift the head again. Disengage. If he doesn't respond, tap where your foot would be. Keep the head though. I'm not happy with that. I wasn't happy with that. That seemed like a shuffle. Push the head again. Don't move your feet. Don't move your feet. Up. And now the hind end. Good job. So sometimes, I don't always do it, but sometimes I might. So sometimes, I don't always do it, but sometimes I might help them learn the back up. I hate watching people grab a hold of a horse's mouth and back them up by leaning on their mouth. To me, it makes absolutely no sense when you can do it much more nicely. So, oh, you heard the word? Mm-hmm. So what I do is, it's no different than when we're on the ground and we're playing with the rope. So it's like the bump. So I bump them. Might help to say back, it depends. Now when you're dealing with a horse that knows nothing, it's always the slightest try. So that was not really a backup, but it was a thought. But that was. I want more than that, so I'm not going to give it to him yet. Back up is straight. Yay. Back. 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 Ho. Good job. That's the kind of hoe I'm looking for. Back. 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 Good job. So now I give him a break. Because he did both things I asked for as well as he can at this point. Ah, beautiful boy.
Perfect.
Beautiful boy. Back. 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 What a nice boy. What a nice boy. So sometimes when you just let them soak for a minute, they're like, ah, I got left alone after I did it like that. So with a baby, that might be where I'd say, okay, we did enough. And then you just look and try to make sure that the relationship's still intact. Where most horses, even as young as him, know they're off. So in that case, it looked like I gotten kind of loud with him several times. You have to get as loud as necessary so you can be as quiet as possible. But sometimes if you try to teach all where the wrong answer doesn't seem too wrong, then it's not good enough. If the wrong answer is really hard and it seems really wrong, they'll kind of get past doing it wrong and look for a better answer. So, ho is an abrupt thing because I want them to be scared to a stop. I want them to be, oh, you know, that's important to me. I believe a good hoe, a good solid hoe will save your life. I was on a bad runaway, and literally the horse took tops off of tiny pine trees. We were going, you know, we were full speed. And I trained him, so when it clicked that this horse learned the word hoe, I yelled hoe, and that horse about fell on its face to stop. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, my hoe stopped. That stop saved my life. So, because who knows where we were headed. Right? Right? It's a nice baby. He's a nice baby.